we can do as it says, and we can perhaps start introducing ourselves quickly. Since we are a small committee, we can do that. Just say your name and your organization and what you do. Roland Wagner, you want to start?
Yes, hello, my name is Roland. I work for the SFB, who's going to be mostly presented today. I work as one of the directors responsible for the department of services and offerings. And Martin is my colleague in this management team. And also Luciano, who will present himself, is working in this organization.
Mm-hmm. Martin, do you want to go?
Yes, my name is Martin. I work in the SFB as the head of the department, Defense of Interests and Communications. And actually, Luciano is one of my heads of service. And Luciano, you can maybe just continue.
Yes, I will take over. Hi to all. I'm Luciano. I'm working for the Department of Technology and Innovation at the Swiss Federation of the Blind. And more on that you will hear later, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Roland, number 2 or number 1?
Yeah, I'm Roland Studer. I'm the president of the Swiss Federation of the Blind.
Sarah?
I'm Sarah from Paris, and I'm the French coordinator of the French collective for the visual impairment.
Thank you. Attila?
My name is Attila. I'm working for the Hungarian Federation of Blind and Partially Sighted as the coordinator of international matters affairs. So I'm in charge for anything related to any international things within our federation.
Thank you. Richard?
Hello, I'm Richard Craig from the RNIB, sight loss charity in the UK, and I oversee international and UK relations manager. Thanks.
Thank you. And I think Lars is also here.
Yes, I am sorry for being late and I will have to leave earlier, so that's not a very good example to follow, but Lars is here speaking from the Paris office. I'm the executive director of EBU.
Okay, we have one more mystery guest. If you haven't spoken, could you introduce yourself on the iPhone? Okay, very strange. I don't know what to do with this person if they're not here to interact. I think I'm gonna sorry, but remove them from the meeting.
Via tech.
Ouais. Okay, so the floor is yours, Swiss friends,
right,
for presenting your organization.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this presentation. I will we will show some slides for those who are able to see them, and for the others, of course, we are saying everything, and you will be perfectly able to follow. I don't know if I have to choose something. So, Roland, can you say if this is
Talking to
okay?
Roland too. Yes,
Roland
I can
Wagner?
see. I can see,
Okay.
yeah, Roland.
Good. So welcome to this little presentation. We have planned to end at 3:30 at the latest. I have a little welcome introduction, and then my colleague Roland will take over, and Luciano will also present some of his services to you. So first, Roland will give you a presentation of the Swiss organizations. We have 3 national organizations, of which the Swiss Federal Organization of the Blind and the Visually Impaired is one of them. Then we will give you a bunch of examples of good practices, and we will also look at some challenges which we have in Switzerland, and we'll tell you about some advocacy activities which are just actually on course here in Switzerland. And last but not least, we will just briefly tell you that we are hosting the 2027 EBU General Assembly, and then we'll have, I hope we will have enough time for questions and answers. So, and now I hand over to Roland for the presentation of the 3 national organizations, and especially also of our organization, which we represent here. Roland?
Thank you, Martin. Yes, hello, everybody. One more time from my side. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having us. It's maybe a bit specific. I think that Switzerland has 3 organizations that are part of EUB, and therefore we were asked to present or give an overview, let's say, of the 3, and before we are introducing more closely the SFB. So the first organization I'd like to present is the Swiss National Association of and for the Blind. What is specific about it is so to say, the umbrella organization in Switzerland. It has several centers of expertise. It does develop and coordinate national services and initiatives. It provides expertise and standardization, and also strengthens some innovation developments. So in the sense, it is the big one, if we will, in the sense that this organization has 65 organizations from all over Switzerland being members. The SFB, that means our organization, being one of them. However, us being the largest member of that umbrella organization. But in a certain sense, it's a complementary role. The SNA has a more of an overall structural role, if you will, generally speaking, and the SFB is more, let's say, closer to the clients or to the people concerned. The second organization I'd like to present is the Swiss Union of the Blind. The Swiss Union of the Blind is more similar to our organization, which is also a self-help organization and a self-representation organization. Although it is smaller and more regional because it's only in the German-speaking part. You might know that Switzerland has 3, or to be exact, 4 language regions in Switzerland, and they all are interacting, of course, whereas in our organization we cover all the language regions. The SUB is only active in the German-speaking part, which is the biggest one in Switzerland. It provides counseling, support services, training programs, and social activities. As I said, it's also a self-help organization. And in that sense, there is sometimes some local overlap, but in general, the idea is to complement the roles between those organizations involved. Historically, one can say the SUB was founded by former SFB members some 70 years ago. They split off and they started their own thing. And today we work together. But this is the reason why we have at the moment, or why we have historically, three big organizations in Switzerland. Maybe we can go to the next one. Our organization, the SFB, as I said, is the largest organization, and it's an advocacy organization in all of Switzerland. We also have counseling, rehabilitation, education, training, and support services, but also very strong into advocating equal rights, opportunities, participation, and inclusion in all areas of life and society. So in our organization, we combine direct services, but also member representation and social innovation. So the SFB is actually one of the central actors with regard to blind and visually impaired people. It's a non-profit organization. I will tell a little bit more about it later. Mostly financed by fundraising, but also by public funding, with around 130 plus employees in all of Switzerland. The structure is maybe interesting. There is a slide with a lot of boxes that looks very complicated, and one could say it's maybe a bit complicated because it's a very democratic organization. On top, you find 16 regions, or called sections, that are the basis of this organization. So in a way, it's a bottom-up organization because the members that are the sections, or if you will, the individuals who are members of those sections or chapters, maybe in another context, are the people, are the ones who are saying what they need and what they want. And once a year, there is something like a general assembly called Assembly of the Delegate, where there is a yearly reporting and also discussions and strategies and all kinds of decisions being taken once a year. That is to say that the single people who are members have quite a lot of influence in decisions. And it can also be that in an assembly decision, if people are not happy with certain decisions, there will be a vote on it. And so former decisions can be reversed and given new direction. Also, the strategy that is usually 4 or 5 years time period is decided by this assembly once a year, that is taken once a year. So what is the vision of the SFB? In Switzerland, there is around 400,000 blind and visually impaired people. So this organization we are working for is, as I said, a member organization, but that doesn't mean that this member organization is only doing things for its member, but for the whole of Switzerland. So in a sense, the 400,000 people concerned is the target group. And the vision is that all people blind and visually impaired are treated equal and have equal rights. Secondly, that they are integrated into society and especially also into the workplace. Thirdly, that they have independent access to information, services, products, and facilities. But also, as I said, since it's a self-help organization that is locally in the geographic regions, it is also easily accessible by those self-help groups, where people can find professional support in their local area, professional but also peer-to-peer support. In order to overcome the limitation of visual impairment, in order to shape their own lives independently, and in order to, as a whole, contribute to the good of society. If you look at the facts and the figures, I already mentioned the branches that we have in Switzerland and the staff that is working for the organization. But apart from the professional side, there's also a lot of voluntary work being done for the SFB. So some 7,000 or 8,000 hours per year is done by the committee members of voluntary work, and also about the same amount is done by volunteer work in certain services. So in Switzerland, we have 6 advice centers located in the German-speaking part, also in the French-speaking part, also in the Italian-speaking part, a bit more independent, where you get advices in the areas of low vision, orientation and mobility, life skills, social counseling, IT support, financial assistance, etc., etc. We are also running 5 education and community centers in bigger cities, in also French and German-speaking part, the same also in the Italian-speaking part. And we have 40 creative groups in all regions, and we have a lot of courses and training programs in the whole of Switzerland, about 80 courses per year, where people have access to knowledge, also exchange and community. Very interesting is also the Department of Technology and Innovation. Luciano will talk about it later, where they develop innovative apps in-house to improve accessibility, for example. Furthermore, we have really a lot of services and offerings. We are providing training and sensibilization courses and campaigns in a broader public, in order to teach and fight, if you will, for improving situation for people concerned. If you're talking about finances, which is always interesting and important, because to be well financed means also to be independent. This organization is financed mostly privately, if you will, either by fundraising in the public sphere or by income generated by services. And about a fourth or a third of the financial resources every year is funded by the government or by the so-called cantons, which is the smaller entity. There is 26 cantons in Switzerland, so there is also some funding from that side. So I made a little, quite a short introduction into how we are organized to give an overview. Do you have maybe at this point already questions? I think we have a Q&A at the end, but if you want to interrupt, just do so while we are progressing.
Are there any questions just now?
Not from my part. It's very clear, but perhaps other participants.
Anybody? Otherwise,
No.
we have time at the end of our presentation. Thank you very much, Roland. So far, you will be continuing with examples of good practices. And the first one is the member recruitment, which might be interesting to many of the EBU members. How are we proceeding to gaining more members? Roland?
Thank you.
Yes. Well, we thought maybe it's interesting to be a bit more concrete now and showcase a few activities. As I told you, we are a member organization. That means the SFB has about 4,000 members. In the year 2023, we experienced, unfortunately, a low below 4,000 members, and it was decided that we need a turnaround in the development, because 4,000 people is still quite an amount of members, but the more member an organization has, the more legitimacy can be achieved, and that's one reason. The other one, of course, it also is a resource for the people concerned to have a community, and thirdly, also the more members an organization has, the more talents are being found to develop the organization further on. So we started a turnaround campaign, if you will, and we are happy to say that we could recover from that all-time low to now 4,300 members by 2025, aiming for 5,000 members by 2030. This is also part of one of the targets of the mentioned strategy program. It's called the Strategy 2030. But it's also important to say 4,000 members sounds maybe not like a lot compared to 400,000 people concerned in Switzerland. So it's still a big potential, of course. But not everyone wants to be involved as much as those people who are member. But also important to know that besides the 4,000 members and the 400,000 people overall, we served about 40,000 people during the last 10 years with our services. So there is a certain connection between those numbers, revealing that the importance of this organization. But again, we are striving for higher memberships, and this is going quite well. Now, what was the key success factor, if you will? It is actually the coordination between the people who are professionally working for the organization and the people who are voluntary members of the organization who are locally involved. And these are two different I would say, speed of working that are interacting with each other. People who are working 8 to 5, working with people who are doing this in their spare time is not always easy. So it needs a lot of tolerance, a lot of communication, and a lot of goodwill to working together. And so that's certainly a key success factor, how to bring or to change those numbers and bring them towards the goal that we have till 2030.
Thank you. Any questions about our member recruitment and how we proceed?
Yes, actually, what are can you give us example of concrete measures, awareness raising campaigns, or that were particularly successful? And just to complete my question, we've noticed across several EBU organizations that, for instance, it was difficult to recruit younger people. Do you face this, and how do you address this specific issue?
Yeah, very good questions. Well, quite similar. I would say we also recruit mostly people who are older. We also face, we will talk about that later, the demographic change. So most people are older, and the younger people are not so easy to get in touch with, either the organization or with our services, because due to the change of the society and also to the education system, more and more people are integrated, which is of course good. It's a social progress, but it's not so easy to get in touch with potential members. Since 2 or 3 years ago, our marketing and communication department has increased social media activities to have more, let's say, exposure is certainly one thing that helps. But on the other hand, what we also mostly did is to interact more with our internal networks. So that means we are using more our branches to, for example, the advice services I was mentioning, in order to get in touch with people who need our services, and also to promote the offerings of being a member. Very often they were our clients, if you will, but we were not really too active to promote a membership and what is the advantage of it. Secondly, or thirdly, I think we also simplified a lot the process to become a member. Just using for example, we were a bit more bureaucratic 3 years ago, how to become a member, and now we have a very simple form to have a first contact with a potential member. After that, we have a department that is using telephone marketing skills, if you will, to call the member who is interested. We explain what is the services that you can get being a member, what is the advantages of being a member. So it's also like a first touchdown with the organization, and then we directly connect them to the local organization. And also that communication between the professional team and the local section was improved, and it took some time to learn as a learning organization to work together. And all these factors together, I think, are root cause of the improvement at the moment. Whereas the younger members is concerned, we are still a bit struggling. This is not so easy, but also there we are focusing to connect with institutions where there is more young people involved. So, for example, there is institutions who are doing specific training for people, for blind people and with visibility impairment, let's say in Basel or in Lausanne. So that is like a hotspot of young people. And so we did a presentation there to get more exposure for our organization. But this is really a tough business to, if you will, to get in touch with younger people. We have the same situation like in the rest of Europe, I suppose.
Thank you. Thank you very much for these clarifications.
Thank you for this question. Any other questions at this point? If this is not the case, we will move to our job coaching services, and it's again Roland who is presenting this.
I will present this and one more service. Later you will hear a different voice, so you don't get bored. We thought we would present two interesting projects or services that we have introduced not too long ago. Job coaching we introduced already some years ago, 6 or 7 years, first as a project to find out if it works. And now it has become a service that is constantly growing in all of Switzerland. You might think job coaching, okay, why is this necessary? Now we have a lot of job coaches in all of Switzerland, but most of the time they don't know the needs and circumstances for blind or people with this visual impairment. And so we have experts and also experts from our advisory service centers working together to support someone who either has a job but problems in his workplace, or someone who is looking for a job or doesn't really know where to go in the marketplace, in the marketplace. So job integration, however, has historically been a key goal for our organization already in 1911. So it's actually not a new thing, although this specific service has been introduced only a few years ago. So the specific or detailed offerings are professional to help develop professional application profiles, to advise on potential job roles and support in working time arrangements. Also, our experts are supporting in the interaction with and the integration into a work team. That means on the side of the company where the person is working. And as I said, we are also giving support for assessment for individual potential. This group is by now about 5-6 person experts. We started in a Swiss German speaking part. We expanded the French speaking part. And now we are introducing this service also in the Italian speaking part.
If I may add one small thing, it is not only important that the job coaches know the needs of the people concerned, but also that they know the abilities of these people, because the general job coaching services, they often think of the small abilities which they have, but they are broader abilities which can be useful for the employers. And this is important to have this sight when you go into talking to the employers.
Maybe I could add on as well that in our organization itself, we also have people, blind people and visually impaired people working. It's a rate of some below 20%. Our own goal is actually to have 25%, sorry, working for the SFB. So if there is no further questions, I'd like to present our latest baby, if you will, in the sense of services that we are trying to introduce. It's called the so-called mobile advisory services. It does respond to the demographic change and aging that I was mentioning before. It's also a big transformation in society with regard to aging and disability issues, if you will. So we are seeing gaps, service gaps in providing services to elderly people that are now becoming more and more clients of our services. And this is good that we can provide those services, but the challenge we see that is to overcome is that the whole system, be it social, be it political, be it also from the financial point of view, is not really ready yet, or is in the process to change and to transform. So our usual way of financing is at the moment not so fluid, and our organization has to learn to find new resources of financing when people older than 65 years are using our services, which are then not covered by certain ways of funding. So that also means for us that we have to reinvent us and learn and be more in the local areas than we have been before. In order, first of all, to reach those new target groups, in order to work closer with the medical sector and bring the medical sector and our psychosocial sector together. That also means speaking a new language and getting more visibility, but also respect from that sector for our services. So we were building a regional prototype service in the area of Bern. It is a 3-year project. And I was talking about the challenges to find financing for these services, and this is exactly where we are standing at the moment. Just 3 days ago, at the General Assembly, the Delegiertenversammlung, was decided to prolong this project by 1 year. Why? Well, we could introduce this service in order to get closer to people who are mobility restricted, also in areas further away from the big cities. We could see that there is a demand for our services. That we could prove, but we were not able in the time of the project to also make sure that we get enough funding for these kinds of services. So the assembly decided to give the project 1 more year to develop also financing and make sure that those services don't need to be financed purely by fundraising, but also by public funding to a certain degree. So this is now at this stage still not sure if we will continue, although we are quite optimistic because there is also a paradigmatic change in the way things are financed. More and more so-called subjective financing, if you will, or individual financing is being introduced in Switzerland. So that means the government doesn't really pay organizations, but it is giving money to individuals for their individual needs. And then the individuals will, in a market-like situation, buy services that they think they need. So it's also not just a change in a demographic sense, but also in a sense that more and more self-determination and autonomy is introduced to the people concerned, who become almost like consumer of social goods. And so our organization is becoming more and more someone who is offering social goods and services. So this is quite an interesting transformation that is taking place in Switzerland. It's not the same in every region because there is also cultural differences between the German-speaking part, French-speaking part, and Italian-speaking part, but this is really a progressing change in society and in the way how we will provide services in the future.
Thank you, Roland. Can you maybe elaborate a bit how this mobile advisory services is functioning? How do you reach people out in the valleys exactly?
Yes. Well, the Canton Bern is a canton that has the capital, so it's like a big city for Swiss standards, but also it goes high up into the Alps. And to the north, it goes into the Jura. So it's a very diverse canton. And up until now, usually it's the case that people go to a cabinet, they go to a service, what do you say?
A medical service, maybe?
Not medical, but it's like our services. It's like an office, if you will. So people have to come to us to get services, to get low vision, etc., social counseling, etc. So they have to move toward us. Now it's the other way around. We go to them. That means we cannot, of course, go to every village in the Alps, but we are looking for hotspots where we are closer to the people. One way of doing this was to collaborate with opticians, with companies who are selling glasses and also are doing low vision services. Or we also collaborated with doctors, optometrists, so that the clients already have maybe an appointment with the doctor, and then they can just go to the other room next door, and this is where they get our services. So they only have to do one transport, and it's a transport to a place they already know. Plus, also in some cases, then if the counseling or support becomes more intensive, we also would go home to their homes to help with daily skills and maybe improve lighting and things like that. So it also means more mobility for our teams. So that's why it's called mobile service. That also means, of course, you use up a lot of time traveling to those people, but we try to be more efficient by combining certain routes of how we reach our clients to reach at least several people a day at their home if we have to do services at home. But it's a mix of different places, just closer to the clients and the people concerned.
Thank you. Are there maybe any questions about this mobile advisory services, which is a new offering of our organization?
A short question. First of all, thank you. It's a very interesting way to approach service providing. And I was wondering if at this stage you got any feedback from clients or users that is interesting on your project.
Yeah, I mean, we make surveys and 90% of people are content or very content. One must consider most people were only in contact with a doctor, and the doctor speaks in a very technical language that I don't even know. That is very often for clients hard to understand what is really happening, and then the doctor at some point says, now I cannot help you anymore. This is what it is. But for the person on an individual level, this impairment of the visuality means a lot of change in life, and the doctor cannot address those problems or challenges. So when then the doctor says, okay, this is what I can do for you, and now we present you to the SFB, and those experts, they really feel almost relieved to have someone who can tell them how to deal with daily challenges, and also maybe someone to talk in a more human way, to talk to someone who has time for them, to support them, and also is including not only the personal situation, but also the situation with the family maybe, or with the partner. So to have a broader view, also helping maybe with financial challenges that come with it, maybe getting certain tools, how to read, continue certain habits that are now restricted. So we get a very good feedback from those people for just the thing that we do. And secondly, also because of the restricted mobility, it's really the case that a lot of people would never go to a cabinet that is located in the city of Bern if they live somewhere up in the Alps. And so I think this gap is really huge, especially in those areas further away, but not only there. And so we are filling a gap, and the people are very thankful for that.
Yes, and at the moment this is existing in the canton of Bern only, but if we are successful in finding more fundings, then it's of course our aim to expand this service to other cantons in Switzerland and other regions which are more remote and not so near to the center.
Thank you. That sounds promising. Hoping you get the funding to pursue this.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, if this is not the case, you will now hear another voice, and it's the voice of Luciano Butera. He is introducing our INTROS public transport navigation system. Luciano?
Yes, thank you very much. Hope the mic is on.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I will present you one of our web app, which is INTROS. The goal of INTROS is to make public transport accessible. So we are doing this with apps, iOS and Android apps, which are able to communicate with a vehicle of the public transport. So let me introduce you 5 basic features. So the app has to be really simple. So what we did is we designed the app according a user journey. So the first step is when a user arrives at the stop, then he wants to know what are the next departures. He has a departure board. We get this information from the internet and present their real-time information, including deviation or cancellation or whatever happens. However, this information in many cases is not precise enough because also real-time information is just information in best case based on a minute base. So what we need is really we have to know which vehicles are nearby. For this, we have the radar view, which is communicating with the vehicle. In the radar view, we can see vehicles nearby, which means around 100 meters in surrounding. We see the line number and the destination of the vehicle as long as they are in Bluetooth low energy reaching distance. When we have found our connection, then we can set an enter request to this vehicle. What will happen when we send an enter request, then the driver will be informed, and when the bus stops, the door opens and a door finding signal is activated through a loudspeaker which is placed directly above a door. After the door finding, also the loudspeaker repeats again the line number and the destination so that a visually impaired user can approach the bus with the signal and then he hears the confirmation of the line and the destination he is looking for. As a fourth step, when a user is sitting in the bus, he can have a view of the next stops. Also, this information is coming directly from the bus, so it's more precise than data coming from the internet, because whenever a bus is leaving a stop, the view in the app will be updated immediately so that the next stop is just on top of the next stops list. When a user reaches his destination where he wants to leave the vehicle, a bus or a tram or whatever it is, then he has the possibility to send an alighting request. This then activates the signal to the driver, so the driver knows that there is somebody who wants to leave, and the user can just leave the bus without any door finding signal, which is not needed when you leave a bus or a tram or any other vehicles. So these are the basic functions. However, a user doesn't want to have always the smartphone in his hands, so we have implemented also some hands-free features. One is the favorite features. You can set a line and a destination as a favorite. And when you have your smartphone in the pockets, a vehicle arrives with the correct line and destination, the enter request will be transmitted automatically so that you don't have to interact with your smartphone. We're currently also implementing a more sophisticated feature, which is route planning and then also route navigation, which means when you start a route navigation, you will not just having the enter request sent, but also the alighting request, and you will be informed regularly by your app during your journey. So I was just talking about the communication between apps and bus. How is this done? So in order to have the service fully working, we need a module in all vehicles, which it should work with. For this, we are, so just to explain the architecture, this module in the vehicle then communicates with the board systems and then transmits the information via Bluetooth to the apps, which then are the user interface. The hardware modules, the hardware modules are produced by EBLO or System Technics. So both are companies of the Modaxo Group. So if there is a company of Modaxo Group in your country, this is very probable that this system can also be provided in your country. Where is it now installed today? We have 2 installations in Germany and we have 1 installation in Switzerland. And there is an ongoing project in the city of Berlin, which is the capital of Germany, where we are working on right now. So this was really a brief summary. If you would like to have more information about intros, it is also in the slides. We have them on our website. We have a video in German, French, and English, and we have also flyers. I think they are German and French. I have to check that.
Good, thank you, Luciano. Are there any questions about this special app service? I don't know if anyone in your country already has a similar system. I see, Valerie, you have a question?
If nobody else wants to speak first. Okay, just a quick question. You mentioned the collaboration with the Modaxo transport company, and I was wondering if they provide some kind of sponsoring. Do they pay for the modules, for instance, or do they only provide the service?
So Modaxo is a provider of the public transport systems. Modaxo is a supplier. They have also board systems they are selling, so their companies, so that's EBLO and System Technics and many more in different countries. They are suppliers of the public transport companies. And
okay.
the public transport companies have then to pay Modaxo if they install their hardware module. So what we are doing at the SFB is just the software on an app site. So the user part is our thing, and that's why we are partnering, because we do not, from the SFB, directly install systems in the bus. That's something which industry partner has to do, which is an Modaxo daughter company.
Okay, I get you. Thank you.
So to have the complete service, they buy the products from EBLO, Modaxo Group, and they buy our software
through that
at the
group,
same
yes.
time. Yes. I think there was another question. No. Okay. So I hand over to Luciano again. He will introduce us to our services to promote digital accessibility in Switzerland.
Yes, that's a service we are having since a year, but not really super active. So we had requests from time to time from companies to check their websites or their apps, and it was good for them. They were all happy, but not really efficient for us to handle. So we decided to do this more on a professional service basis. So our goal with the service is now really to empower customers to provide accessible service. And this is done through 3 different input types. So a first input is input from the user side. So we have to make the customer understand what accessibility means for the user. So where is the difference? Why should they do it? What happens if they don't do it? Just to bring this closer. The second thing is we have to give an input, a technical input. I call it a bit demystifying, demystification of accessibility. So in many cases, companies have still the impression that accessibility is one obscure, huge thing which needs lots of work and is super complicated and nobody can do it. So it is also our task to make them sure, hey, that there are not so complicated things you have to do, and you can do it in your daily work, and it will immediately improve the experience of blind and visually impaired users. And the third thing is also we have to give them an input about the testing methodology they can use in order to bring them into a level that they can basically live accessibility. They can understand what they did. They can also try their improvements and understand how you improve their system to a broad user base. Our service is basically designed in 2 big elements. One big element, which is really important, is to have a clear process. Such consulting, the process of such consulting offers has to be very straight and very clear, because otherwise it is either too expensive for the customer or or not efficient for us. So we have designed a clear process. It starts with the onboarding, where we define the expectations, and then we will do the testing, which there is also a big part of user testing, and we will give the feedback to the customer in workshops. The workshops are really important to show, to give these 3 inputs, and to give these 3 inputs with the services they know by heart, so they can understand what they have to do and what the benefit of that would be. And last but not least, if they improve their system, we gave a certification that the system is accessible. So that was one element. The other element is a testing group. We did set up a testing group with users, with trained users. So we do train the user on how to file test reports, and then a group with users with different experiences, different competences, like language, for different languages or for different platforms like iOS, Android, so that we can have real user tests with users who can give valuable information and who are, in this case, diverse on their capability of different platforms, let's say, or different experiences. So we have just started with this new setup. So it is difficult to say, to talk about experience. It seems that it starts quite good. we believe that this is scalable and that it will be a good way to improve the overall accessibility of systems in the whole Switzerland.
Thank you, Luciano. As you see, this is really a service from concerned people who give their expertise to others. And we don't only want to give our expertise by testing websites and apps, but by also enabling the people who are building the websites to build them in an accessible way on their own. This is quite important for us to do because we think it's not enough to just hand out a certificate, but we want them to understand what it needs to provide their services in an accessible way, and to further on do it on their own the right way. The SFB is also a member of ADIS, that is the Association of Digital Integration in Switzerland, where more and more companies, institutions, building institutions, and organizations are gathered together. So are there any questions on this?
Yeah, I would have a question, if I
Lars,
may.
yes.
It's Lars, yes, yeah, exactly. Before I have to go to my other meeting, and apologize in advance for leaving in just a second. But
Lars, did
first
you
a
want to
question.
say something?
Yes,
Yeah, he is.
yes,
Can't
I'm
you hear him?
speaking. Can you hear not?
No.
Well,
We can hear you.
you
Yes.
can hear me.
Yes. Yes.
But Valerie couldn't hear me apparently. But I can. Okay. So I have got two quick questions, which is one, in Switzerland, what would be sort of the reference law or legislation when you talk about web accessibility or digital accessibility? As you know, at the EU level, we have some of the legislation which was not easy to actually achieve, but now it's at least there, and now it's about implementation with all challenges that this also means. But what would be your reference frame in Switzerland for this? And the second one is, you mentioned, Luciano, the user feedback, so that users can directly make reports, file complaints, and so on in websites or apps and so on to get this done. This is also something we are interested in and also doing. But on the other hand,
Sorry, I don't know if it's me, but I can't hear anything.
Valerie, yes, we can
We can.
clearly hear.
all
Lars.
can, but you cannot. That's
We can.
Okay, thank you, Lars. I think we understood your questions.
Yeah.
Luciano, will you please answer
Yes.
the second question, and if you can, also the first, and I can maybe add.
There is two parts. Two part. The question has two parts, so I will answer in two parts. So the first question, legislation in Switzerland is not as good as it is in Europe. So our legislation, at least at today's, concerns only public domains and not private companies. So the arguing with the regulations is quite limited. However, fortunately, many companies in Switzerland want to do business also in Europe, and this helps us.
So that means that the European laws apply to the companies who are which are dealing with European countries, so they have to produce their products in an accessible way.
Yes. The second question, the user, the tester, do not file the reports directly to the companies. They file them to us because this is a consultancy request from the company, and we are filtering them, and we are then preparing them for the companies for this workshop. But what you mentioned, that any user can file something to us, that's something we still have to work on. That would be a good idea, honestly.
Okay, for once, we are really not for once, but we are really happy about your advance on the EU level. Most of the time, this doesn't help us very much. I will tell more about it when I talk about challenges. But here we can really profit from what you have achieved in EU because companies which are not public companies, they have no regulations on digital accessibility whatsoever, and we are very happy about the new EU regulations. Thank you for this question. Any more questions? Then I would like to present you one more example of good practice, which is not yet on the way, but we have an application for funding, which is not yet decided. So, talking about road safety, we have a big problem here in Switzerland, but probably also in other countries. Traffic regulation ordinance in Switzerland says that unaccompanied blind people must always be given right of way when they raise their white cane to indicate that they wish to cross the road. Unfortunately, this regulation is mostly not very well known. Tests have shown that this rule is very poorly observed by road users. Recently, a person with a guide dog was even injured by a car, even though she raised her white cane. So there's really a big need of making this regulation more known in Switzerland. And the SFB is now planning an awareness and prevention campaign to raise awareness of this rule. And as I mentioned before, we have submitted an application to the Swiss Road Safety Fund, and we are awaiting their decision this month. If the decision is yes, we can start a big campaign, nationwide campaign in all the three languages, maybe even the fourth language too, to really make this regulation more known. The slogan will be "See the cane, give way," and we have already a company who has a lot of good ideas how to promote this. Plans include close involvement of the 16 SFB sections and collaboration with partners such as the Driving Instructors Association, Pro Bicycle, and others, so that we have a big reach out for this campaign. So this is something which we are planning to do. It's not yet good practice, but we hope that we can put this into action. Sarah?
Yes, thank you. I don't understand. It means that blind people who are not accompanied by some other people
Yes.
Are likely to have accidents because people don't stop even
Yeah.
if they see the cane.
Exactly.
You have
At the
many
moment,
accidents.
we don't have any evidence of many accidents. This is because probably most concerned people don't dare to make use of this regulation. So they prefer to do a detour to find the next zebra crossing or the next traffic light to cross the road instead of risking their life.
Yeah. But so you're making a campaign to raise awareness of white cane. Is that so?
To raise the awareness that traffic users know when somebody at the road raises the cane, they have to stop.
Okay.
Because most traffic users apparently they maybe have heard of it when they learned driving, but they are not aware that they need to stop when they see the cane.
Really? Okay.
I think that's probably the same in other countries, but I don't know. I tried to find evidence about that, but yeah. Valérie?
Yes, I was as surprised as Sarah because we live in France, and even though before I lived in the UK, drivers are very careful, particularly on pedestrian crossings. So I was recently visiting Slovakia, and they have had a similar campaign, and I can put you in touch with that team if you're interested.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but it's not. It's shocking for us.
Yeah.
Well, I must precise. It's not about zebra crossings, because on a zebra crossing, every car has to stop when pedestrians want to cross the zebra crossing. Be the person blind or not, they have to stop for pedestrians. So when you want to cross a pedestrian crossing, then it's safe. Of course, you still have to wait till the car has stopped, but they have to stop in any case. But the people have the right to cross the road anywhere. The blind and visually impaired people, the ones with the white cane, are allowed to cross the road also at other places where there's no pedestrian crossing.
Okay.
I don't know. Being even myself a driver, I'm not aware of such a or similar rule in Hungary.
You don't have this rule.
To give way on the pedestrian crossing, but of course I would give, and I give way to a blind person, but I don't remember about hearing any time about such a rule in Hungary.
Oh,
maybe I'm not right, but I'm afraid I am.
Yes, this rule exists.
While this campaign sounds very, 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 very nice, very promising. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we will tell you more about it once we are able to start the campaign. But this rule exists already for a long time, and yeah, unfortunately, it is difficult to put it into practice because it is too dangerous for the people at the moment.
May I add anything to that?
Yes, Roland, please.
I think that's something very important to know. So I'm used to travel around a lot. And if you are not in the big cities, if you are anywhere outside of the big cities, most of the pedestrian strips are not marked. So a blind person does not find the pedestrian strip. So how can he alone find the pedestrian strip if it is not marked? I have been 2 weeks ago in Estonia. I have been 3 months ago in Sweden. 50% of the pedestrian strips are not marked. So that's why in Switzerland, the law says that we are allowed to cross as well beside the pedestrian strips the road. And that for that, we have that law that cars have to stop if somebody rises the white cane. That's the reason for. And Valerie, I'm pretty sure not all the pedestrian strips in France, maybe in Paris, but not anywhere outside on the countryside is marked. And so,
Very right.
yeah. So how can you find where you have to cross the street?
Completely, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just reacting also strongly to the fact that in Slovakia, even on the pedestrian crossing, drivers don't stop. And they have an even greater challenge, and they have implemented a campaign that could be an inspiration, perhaps. I don't know.
And there's a development in Switzerland that more and more pedestrian crossings are removed because authorities say, well, this is a pedestrian crossing which is not very much frequented, so we can as well remove it. This is a very bad development, of course, for the safety of us.
And you all know on the 15th of October, we have the day of white cane, huh? And often we do together with the local policies, we look how the drivers react if somebody is at the street and rises the white cane. And there is more than 50% of the cars do not stop. So
Yes,
they are not aware. That's the problem. And that's why we try to make with this sensibilization that also we try to teach the teachers. So where do the people learn driving? So we want to tell to the teachers that they should learn this as well to the people who want to learn driving.
What are they not aware of? That people with white cane are blind?
No,
They
that
don't
they have to stop.
Yeah, they don't realize it.
Okay.
They
It
don't
would be
know that they need
interesting.
to stop.
Would be interesting if you do that once in France. I'm pretty sure you will have the same result.
You're probably right.
Try it.
I found some evidence about, I don't know which countries where they have the same bad results on testing, and they tested other behavior when they don't just raise their right cane, but they wave the cane, then more road users are stopping. But this is not the rule. We are not. It's not that you need to wave the cane. You raise it, and then traffic users see the cane, and they have to stop.
Maybe to add one more last thing, there was a request at the one police in one canton to do this as a test, have someone with a cane walking over the street, and the police refused to do the test, saying it was too dangerous.
That says a lot.
Yes.
That's right. But I also must say that we have good collaboration with the police. So when we do these tests, we always have a collaboration with the police because we couldn't do it without. Okay, let's continue because it's already nearly 3:30. I just want to tell you briefly some challenges we face in Switzerland. As I already mentioned, Switzerland is not member of the EU nor of the EFTA. Therefore, achievements on EU level are not applicable to Switzerland. One example is the access to the EU disability card and European parking card. We don't. This card or these cards will not be applicable to Switzerland. That means no recognition of public transport and other discounts for Swiss citizens in other European countries, and vice versa. So no Swiss citizens with disabilities in European countries can profit from advantages of these cards in other European countries, and vice versa. People from European countries with these cards can't can't use these cards in Switzerland. which is a problem, and but we try to add Switzerland to this card, but the process has already been ongoing, and we are not included to that. So this is a challenge that we face. Another challenge we talked already about is the laws on digital accessibility, but we already talked about it, that we can profit from the legislation in the EU for companies who are providing their service in EU countries. We already also talked about the challenge of the age structure of the SFB. The average age of the SFB is very high, and we are trying to reach more young people, but it's the same as in many other countries, that it's not so easy to reach them. I think that digitalization will give us a chance to use them as we have interesting services, and as we are also integrating people with digital skills in our services. The transition to digitalization is an opportunity for access to more information, but for many older members, it is also not easy to manage. You all know about this. We must therefore maintain some traditional communication channels whilst simultaneously driving forward digitalization. This is a challenge which we have. We want to promote digitalization, and we are doing this. So we are active on social media. We are more and more communicating in digital ways, but we have still a certain amount of our members who are not reachable, or who are not willing or capable to use the new communication tools. I don't know if you want to share some experiences or some thoughts on these challenges we are having in Switzerland.
I think we have the same problem in France.
Yeah.
When we do country visits, we find the both ends of the social spectrum are affected equally in all the organizations, the youth, and paradoxically, the older people who face the exact opposite problem with joining associations or being involved in the associations, as you mentioned. So this is something to work on collectively, really, and I think it would be interesting to address it in future meetings, for instance.
Right. Okay, I move forward to some of our advocacy activities. I want to present you two of them. One is the Inclusion Initiative. You may know that in Switzerland we have the right to collect signatures for referendums and also for initiatives. Initiatives means that we are making a proposal for a change of the constitution, and then people in Switzerland can vote on this proposal. So this inclusion initiative calls for equality for people with disabilities to be guaranteed in every area of life and at all levels of the law, in particular in terms of personal and technical assistance and the form of accommodation. The government maintains that these issues should continue to be addressed mainly through specialized legislation. So the government doesn't want to go as far as the initiative promotes to go. The government therefore worked out an indirect counter-proposal to the inclusion initiative, which is now being discussed in Parliament. The visually impaired community is calling for specific improvements regarding the assessment of needs for the assistance services required. We are also calling for the option for assistance provided by family members to be reimbursed, because this is not the case at the moment. And we are calling for a reduction in the administrative burden involved in employing personal assistants, because if a blind or visually impaired person wants to have assistance, they have to act as an employer. They have to hire somebody and to pay this person as if they were an employer, and this is very bureaucratic and means a high administrative burden. So at the moment, Parliament is discussing the initiative and also the counter proposal, and this will take some time. And once the Parliament has decided on the exact wording of the counter proposal, we will know if we are happy with that or not. If we are happy with that, the inclusion initiative can be withdrawn, and then it is the counter proposal which will go into effect. But if we are not happy with the counter proposal, we will stick to the inclusion initiative, and this will be voted upon. I don't know if next year or maybe even in 2028, because the process in Switzerland usually takes quite some time. And the second advocacy item I want to present to you is our engagement in political processes. As you may know, in Switzerland, democratic processes are quite broad. In Switzerland, we can vote on different things, like such initiatives, for instance. So we don't only elect people, but we also vote. But we have a big problem in Switzerland, because blind and visually impaired Swiss citizens are unable to exercise their right to vote and stand for election independently. That means they can only vote with the help of an assistant, as they are unable to read and complete the ballot papers on their own. This infringes upon the right to a secret ballot. Nor can they fill in their personal details on referendum forms and sign them independently. Now, in some countries, like in Germany, for instance, they use a so-called gorge. I don't know, in French, for instance, this is called bagarre. I don't know if the gorge is the right word in English. So this is some kind of help instrument where you can find where to cross and where to mark which is your will. So this is currently being tested in the canton of Zurich to enable people with visual impairments to take part in national votes. This, however, cannot be used in elections. Why can't this be used in elections? That is because the Swiss election system is quite complicated. You don't just vote for one person or one party. You have several parties you can elect from, and within the parties you can choose several persons you want to elect or not. And this makes it quite complicated. So this instrument will only be usable for votes. Then you can decide if you want to vote yes or no. And this is currently being tested in the canton of Zurich. And because this is limited, the SFB is therefore campaigning for the rapid nationwide introduction of e-voting and e-collecting. Trial operations are currently underway in 5 cantons, and more cantons will be following the next few years. But it is uncertain if e-voting and e-collecting will be provided nationwide, because the parliament will have to decide upon this. And at the moment, there are still security concerns. Not everybody has these concerns, but some of the politicians have these concerns. And I know that, for instance, Estonia has established e-voting already for quite a few years, but that this doesn't mean that Switzerland follows their example. But the SFB is really strongly campaigning for e-voting and also for e-collecting. Are there any questions on this? Sarah?
Sorry. I don't quite understand the difference between e-voting and e-collecting.
Okay, yes, sure. E-voting means that you can fill in your voting ballot, your ballot papers, on an electronic digital way. And
Yes.
e-collecting means that you can collect signatures for a referendum in a digital way. And this helps, of course, people who cannot see or cannot write, because then they can fill it in on their computer.
So e-voting is for election and e-collecting is for only referendum? No.
E-collecting is for collecting signatures for either initiatives or referendums,
Okay.
Which then eventually will be voted upon.
Right, I see. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, then let's move to the last subject, and this is the EBU General Assembly in Zurich. Roland, what can you tell about this?
Well, there's not so much to talk about yet. It takes place on the 22nd till 24th of October.
27?
It's 27, yes. We know it takes part near the airport of Zurich at the quite mundane Circle Convention Center. But we don't know more details yet about that. So it's just an announcement. And yeah, we are very proud to have all of Europe in Switzerland.
And we are welcoming all the participants from all over Europe in Zurich very soon, in a bit more than 1 year.
Yes, thank you very much. And we have already sent a save the date invitation. There will be more communication towards as we reach a closer date to the actual General Assembly, and just to be assured that there are committees and task forces already at work to create a program. It's going to be a short General Assembly, mainly focused on institutional and constitutional matter. But nevertheless, we do hope to gather as many delegates as possible. Usually the General Assemblies are gather around 200, 250 participants. So this will be a unique opportunity to get to know Switzerland better, but also to get to know each other better.
Great. Welcome.
And of course, if people want to extend their stay, maybe later on we'll quiz you for recommendations.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, Zurich is always worth a visit. I've been living in Zurich for a long time. Our president, Roland, who is joining us here in this meeting, he lives in Schaffhausen, also worth a visit, as well as the French and Italian speaking part. Or if you want to go to the east of Switzerland, you can meet people talking Romansh, which is the fourth language spoken in Switzerland. Good. Are there any more questions? If this is not the case, then I thank you very much for having attended this meeting. It was a pleasure presenting our organization and our activities to you, and I hope that many people will also follow this in the link which is provided by the EBU office.
Thank you very much for this very informative and interesting presentation, and for all the hard work and successful work. And of course, we will include this as a replay podcast. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.